if you're getting started, or even if you've been quilting for a while and you feel overwhelmed, like just go back to the basics. Like I think I get overwhelmed and think, oh, I need all these tools, I need all these things, and I mean really you just end up spending a lot of money for something you won't use very often. I'm Amanda.
I'm Miranda, and this is
not your Granny's Quilt Show. But we'll get that someday. Welcome to episode 5. We're talking about the tools you need to get started. Because
tools.
Good grief, do you need some tools?
Yeah.
But you can get by with like some basics. Like there's so many things, and I think that can be really overwhelming if you are new. And even if you've been quilting forever, you're like, do I need this? I think I need this. I might need this. No, I don't need this. Yes, I need this.
Yeah. Quilting is definitely kind of an expensive hobby, just in that the fabric is expensive. Sorry about my dogs again. And the tools, like you do need to get some basic tools from the start, and you can get really inexpensive, affordable tools, and then you can do what I do and just gradually buy more expensive tools because they're rainbowy or because you want them.
Because they have someone's name on them that you admire. But like, so definitely to get started, because you're cutting, you want precision, a ruler and a cutting mat. And I'm going to hold this up. Yes. This is like a really inexpensive starter kit. I still have this same kit. This is hers. But it comes with this ruler and this cutting mat. And
you can get it
buy
just like
together.
Yeah, you can get it together in a kit just like at Joann Fabrics or your local craft store.
Yeah.
And I think it's really inexpensive.
Yeah, I think I spent like $25 or $30.
I want to say it was around $20.
Yeah, super cheap. But it, like, I mean, we've been quilting for how long?
Yeah, and I still use that same ruler all the time.
Yeah, me too. Except now we have, who makes it? Quilt Selections or something like that?
Yes, something like that.
And it has this, like, special material on the back, so you barely have to put any pressure on the fabric when you're cutting, and it doesn't slide around, and boy, let me tell you.
A legit game changer.
Yeah.
It like sticks to the fabric, so all you have to do is just like lay it on the fabric and you can cut and it will not move, whereas this kind of ruler will kind of slide around, so you have to like put your entire body weight on it to make it not slide around.
Yeah, I like lay my whole elbow across and I'm like
yeah.
But with the new one it's like, and it's really not that expensive.
It's really not. And we've talked about it before that like for us getting started, cutting the fabric was the hardest and like most stressful part, and did make both of us cry at one point. And this, I would just say this ruler is like a game changer to get a sticky ruler, because it just makes it so much easier. And I was trying to cut with that ruler the other day and just like not even thinking about it, just like barely holding it and just like slid all
I
around.
started cutting something with it too. I think I was like cutting binding or something, and I was using this older ruler, and I was like, I had, because it slid, and I was like, what the? And then I remembered I had the new one, and I was like, oh my gosh, yes. And I seriously was just like it went so fast because I wasn't messing around trying to like get the ruler to stay. But a cutting mat and a ruler, and they have different size cutting mats. Some people like to do smaller piecing, and so they'll get smaller sets, but this is like a really good standard. Like this one. Sorry, I keep looking to the side.
You can fit with the fabric on there and cut it, which is great. Yeah. Definitely use a rotary cutter. I was really scared of those when we first started quilting because it's like a super sharp pizza cutter. Yeah. And in general, I'm just scared of sharp things because
ouchie.
Ouch.
Yeah. But they have protection, like you slide it. This Olfa is a great brand. They're super consistent and hi Bowie. It's super consistent and they're really sharp. They're high quality. I think they guarantee their stuff. I could be wrong. Yeah. Anyway,
I got that one on sale, I think for $7.
Yeah. Like Olfa can be kind of spendy for their cutting tools, but there's always sales, like especially at Joann's or like other kind of big chain stores where you can get them for a really reasonable price. But you definitely want one of these because if you have to hand cut everything, you will hate quilting.
I cannot even imagine that.
Yeah, I don't even want to think about it.
Yeah, I've never tried, but I just imagine that everything would be super inconsistent and uneven.
Yeah.
And hard to piece together.
Yeah.
And hard to measure.
Yeah.
Use the stuff.
Use the stuff. Also, a good pair of...
Oh my gosh. Bowie.
A good pair of dogs who like to bite squeaky toys.
Yeah.
Super helpful. Oh, Bo. A good pair of snips. These are the Tula pink ones, so they're like super rainbowy and beautiful. But like any little like pair of scissor snips will do, because for trimming threads and
yeah, you can just get really close to the fabric if you're trimming like top quilting threads.
Yeah.
Or it's just so handy. Like I just have those next to my sewing machine all the time. It's so handy for like snipping a bobbin thread or just any little kind of snips that you have to do.
Yeah. We have this same pair on, we keep them on the long arm because we're constantly snipping threads when we change rows or change bobbins or whatever. And it's just so nice to have a good pair, especially when they've got the curved tip. I'm going to do like a makeup person, like the curved tip. So that you're not like digging into your fabric. It's easy to sit right on top and just get right to the threads. So that's a must. Also a seam ripper, because you are going to fuck up.
Yeah.
So this one is pretty good. It's like pretty ergonomic. It's good in your hand. I was using it a lot yesterday.
Yeah, me too. I love seam ripping.
But yeah, any seam ripper really will do. But if you want to have, there's so many different styles. I have like a little tiny one that I keep just like with my stuff, just in case I need it if I'm somewhere else sewing.
Yeah. This one's nice because it has the gooby end, so you actually use that to like
you pick
the
threads out,
which is really nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's super nice to be able to get those little excess pieces out of there, so you're not like sewing them into your project.
Yeah. I don't honestly know if that's what that is intended for, but that's
my
how
mom uses it for that, and she's like my go-to for sewing everything. So I'm like, if she does it, I'm gonna do it, and it really does work. It's just kind of a rubbery end, but yeah. So seam ripper, because you're gonna need it, trust me. And if you don't think you're going to, you're wrong. And we still love you. It's fine. A good pair of shears. Also, these are also the Tula pink. That's why they're so beautiful. I have Gingers, which is like a really tried and true brand. They can be kind of spendy, but again, like there's ways you can get them for less expensive. I think on Amazon, I got mine for $25, which was like a steal for the 8-inch blade like this.
Yeah. And you can definitely get like non-name brand shears, like
for sure,
from Joann's or whatever. And
I have Fiskars, which also, they're a pretty consistent brand as well. Like my Fiskars work just as great. I just really wanted to be like, I have fancy shears.
Yeah.
And what else? Oh, pins.
Pins, yeah. I have some
right here. We like these ones that have the little flower heads, because they're just easier to see in the project. They're long and they're thicker than like normal sewing pins, or normal straight pins, because you're pulling a lot of fabric together when you're quilting. You've got a lot of seams happening, and especially when you're like, if you're prepping to long arm, you have to pin zippers onto your backing fabric, your top fabric, or your top quilt top, and then they're just really sturdy and they hold really well. So you can get these pretty much anywhere. With these flower heads. I mean, they have kinds that just have the regular ball tip. The regular pinhead. I don't know. I'm done talking.
I like ball tip.
Ball tip. But same thing. You just want a longer, sturdier pin to hold your fabric.
Yeah, and those pins are super sharp. We can't tell you how many times we've physically bled on the quilts.
You will bleed for your quilts.
You literal blood, sweat, and tears.
It's not even a joke. If one of us doesn't have a Band-Aid on our finger, it's kind of a miracle. Because even the rotary blade, if you just bump your hand, you're like, I'm bleeding.
And now I'm bleeding.
And now I have to wash this quilt. No, I don't think I've ever gotten blood on a quilt.
I haven't either. I've gotten them on the zippers.
Oh,
for
really?
Sure. Yeah.
Because you get like the pins and they are so sharp and they just get in there and then they rip your skin. You're like, oh my God. Not that, we're not trying to scare you, but
don't be scared of pins.
They are sharp. So just, be careful. But I think if you're getting started, or even if you've been quilting for a while and you feel overwhelmed, like just go back to the basics. Like I think I get overwhelmed and think, oh, I need all these tools. I need all these things. And I mean, really, you just end up spending a lot of money for something you won't use very often.
And there's things that we collect over time. Like I have a few different sizes of like square rulers and triangle rulers just for different patterns that I've made. They make really specialty shaped rulers for various patterns that maybe you won't use that often, but are still worth it because using a ruler to cut those shapes out is way easier than like printing out the template and trying to like carefully cut around it or use a ruler to like cut all those edges out. So I think just over time you collect more things that you find out that you like to use or not. Yeah, but I think just to start out, it's instead of thinking, oh, I need all these things. I think we even did that like when we were starting Sweet Pea, like because we're at the quilt show and we were so excited and we got all these things and then like I don't even think we used half of like we got this crazy ruler set and it was like specialty and this and I don't think we even use it. I remember that. It's the one with all the slats in it. Yeah, there's like slats and then there's like a sticky edge and you can stack like you can cut like 10 layers of fabric at a time and it adjusts, like you can move the width of it so you are like cutting the strip width, like I don't know, that all sounds really hard. It's just a lot. Like, and that's it. Is it, you know, when the guy who created it is demonstrating it and he knows exactly how it functions, and then we're like, oh, we have to watch all these YouTube videos to figure out how to use it. It's like, just go back to the basics, you know. It's like, and if you want to figure out how to use that kind of stuff because you find, you know, value in it, that's totally fine. I think it's up to each person. And sometimes there's workarounds also. So I was working on a quilt recently where I had a bunch of small blocks, so like 4.5-inch square blocks, and I was trying to square them all down, and it's really annoying when you're working and you have to like turn the block around and then square like 2 sides at a time. And I was like, oh, I really want to get one of those rulers that's like on a rotator and you can just like spin it on this thing. Those are super expensive. It turns out I went to the quilt shop and it was like $75 for this like this cutting mat that was just on a spinning base. Oh yeah. Doesn't Jen's mom have one of those? I think so. I don't know. But yeah, I was like, I'm not spending $75 on this. So I just bought a small cutting mat, like a 12-inch square cutting mat, and I just like physically spin it with my hands. And it was so much cheaper. It was like $12, I think. So it accomplishes the same thing, but it just isn't as fancy or flashy as the thing that was meant to do that. So yeah, because cutting small pieces sucks on a big mat because you're like having to turn and reline up the fabric, but if you can just turn the mat itself, then you don't have to like realign it, and that takes time. It's like any time saving thing is kind of nice, but like if it's a tool that just adds time because you're trying to figure it out, like it's not worth it in my opinion. Like stick to the basics, and if you can find a workaround like that, awesome, because it will just speed up your quilting and make it easier so you're not like getting frustrated. But anything that saves you time and like increases your accuracy is worth it, I think. Definitely. But you don't have to buy it all up front or at once because it can be kind of expensive, just like as you go and as you have projects that you work on, just figure out what works best for that project. Yeah, for sure. Because you never know. Like, I mean, I got by with the basics for a long time, and it's usually what I normally just use. And I do have some squares because I was like, oh, I think I can invest in this now because I am making different size quilts and branching out in different things, and they have come in handy a few times now. Whereas before I was just trying to use my, you know, longer ruler, and it was more of a pain. But I just think if you can just whittle it down to the basics and then figure out the rest, you know, as time goes on, it can be less overwhelming, and it can actually be, you know, really nice and easy. It doesn't have to be too much. Yeah. So, and there's fun quilt gadgets that you can get also. I mean, we're not opposed to getting the fun quilt gadgets. No. I love those like little bobbin clips. They're like rubbery. Oh yeah. They have like by the register at the quilt shop. Yeah. And they're like, it's like a little clip and it just clips around your bobbin. So if you have a color of thread on there and you don't want to like, you want to store it and not have the thread go everywhere, you just like clip this around it and it keeps the thread in place. And then I have these ones that like wrap around that would go on like the spool instead, if it's not one that has like a you know, little hook thing on it. Yeah, I have those too. Yeah. They're so fun, but it's like, and they're colorful and they're cute, and it's like,
did I even need this? But yeah, I'm like looking at my stuff. Like I use them all the time because I do have, it's like, oh, I used this colored thread for this project, but now it's preserved and I'm not worried about my thread being all over the inside of my kit box. And so anyway, yeah, there are just like fun little things like that do make things easier. But I think it's just, you have to figure that stuff out for yourself as you go along and find what works best for you. So anyway, yeah, that's it. Basic tools. We love them. We use them every time, and we couldn't quilt without them. So if you have questions about our favorite brands, I think we've mentioned some of them, but you can always ask us. We're here for you. We're all in this together, and you know, we just want to help serve you, help you better your quilting journey.
Yes.
But thanks for joining us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, email. Find us on Instagram. I'm at Sweet Pea Design Company.
And I'm at Miranda Makes.
And we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.